The House Intelligence Committee has publicly released some of the documents and evidence that Giuliani's business partner, Lev Parnas, has given them in his efforts to cooperate with the impeachment investigation. Now again, Parnas was Rudy Giuliani's business associate, and Rudy Giuliani, of course, is Donald Trump's personal lawyer. Now, here's what we know based on the documents that have been made public. The documents, which include Parnas's handwritten notes, copies of text messages, and other correspondence, reveal some new information, including that Giuliani claimed to be acting with President Trump's knowledge and consent in his communications with the Ukrainian government. Now, this is incredibly important because when it comes to the impeachment investigation, it was critical to find a direct connection between Donald Trump and the withholding of the military aid in an effort to do a quid pro quo to get the Ukrainian government to announce an investigation into Trump's political rival, Joe Biden. And based on the evidence that has been turned over to Congress by Lev Parnas, it appears that that is the case. So there's more on this, but before I get to other details, I do want to get some of your thoughts.
Well, I would say that is the latest confirmation of that link.
Right.
I mean, the transcript that he has from day one considered to be exculpatory, that also shows him directly linking in his rhetoric those two things. And the testimony of any number of different people who are involved in this, either the actual diplomatic team or what we found out about the shadow diplomatic team, they've all confirmed the same thing. He has been intimately involved since the very beginning, and he has repeatedly hammered home the things that he wants in exchange for a couple of things he held over the head of President Zelensky.
Exactly, and one of the other things that's important to bring up is that Donald Trump denied over and over again that he had any communication with Lev Parnas or that he even knew who Lev Parnas was. In fact, let me go to this next video. It's a little mashup of all the denials that you could expect. It's a flashback, actually, from Donald Trump's denial.
I don't know those gentlemen. Now, it's possible I have a picture with them because I have a picture with everybody. I have a picture with everybody here. But somebody said there may be a picture or something where at a fundraiser or somewhere. But I have pictures with everybody. I don't know if there's anybody I don't have pictures with. I don't know them. I don't know about them. I don't know what they do. But I don't know. Maybe they were clients of Rudy. You'd have to ask Rudy. I just don't know.
So again, I mean, look, we all suspected that Donald Trump was lying there. That's a video from October of 2019. But now we have confirmation.
Yeah, it was so obviously like, hey, so you're gonna go to your chopper talk. You're probably gonna be asked tough questions about this. Would you like to be familiar with the facts of the story? No, I'm just going out. Yeah, he's seen the picture. He wasn't told about the picture, he's seen the picture. He knows the guy, he knows the details. He knows that they were working with Rudy Giuliani. Like, his denials are so fake because he was denying things that don't make any sense.
This new evidence is obviously problematic for Donald Trump, and it's not really new evidence. It's new in that it's been released to the public, but there was, in my opinion, a far more problematic part of what we've learned today, and it has to do with the former Ukrainian ambassador or ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. As we all know, she was ousted, fired from her position, and she testified about what she experienced under the Trump administration. Why did she get fired? What was going on? Well, here's what we know. Documents from Lev Parnas suggest an effort to remove former Ukrainian ambassador Marie Yovanovitch as a favor to Ukraine in exchange for information on the Bidens, essentially another quid pro quo. Particularly disturbing is a set of messages Parnas received from a person named Robert F. Hyde, a Republican congressional candidate. Hyde texted Parnas that he had people tracking former Ukraine ambassador Marie Yovanovitch's movements closely in Ukraine. He claimed he could tell whether her phone and computer were off, and he wrote, quote, "If you want her out, they need to make contact with security forces." Now, Marie Yovanovitch actually was trying to root out corruption in Ukraine. That was one of her projects, and she was apparently aggressive in doing so. And so as a result, some of the more corrupt forces within Ukraine wanted to get rid of her. So there was a quid pro quo when it came to getting some of the information that the Trump administration wanted on the Bidens. And in order to get that information, the Ukrainians wanted Marie Yovanovitch out. that would explain why she was told to leave Ukraine in the middle of the night. Yovanovitch has testified that she was told when she was recalled that this is about your security, you need to come home immediately. And by the way, based on the documents handed over by Parnas, Hyde also adds, perhaps ominously, they are willing to help if we/you would like a price. He says in the next text, guess you can do anything in the Ukraine with money, what I was told. Now, it's not exactly clear what he was referring to there, but obviously.
But it is in another way.
Yeah.
And do you know how Parnas responded to that?
How?
LOL.
Yep.
It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny if you're, into these disgusting, dirty, shady dealings. And so again, there's more evidence that's presented to the public at this point. As we know, the articles of impeachment are going to the Senate now to begin a Senate trial. Nancy Pelosi has finally agreed to do that. It's unclear, though, whether they're going to discuss these documents. It's also unclear whether reporters are going to be able to report on what's going on during the Senate trial because the Senate has decided to restrict the impeachment trial. But there are more details I want to get to. What do you think, John?
I think that the day so far, added on top of the experience we've had over the past few years, shows that this whole system is utterly broken. We keep waiting for something to break through, something that, like, stuff comes out and it's really bad, and we have to come here and we have to report on it and hope that in making clear how immoral some of these acts of the Trump administration are, that it'll break through to some of his supporters or to some of the media that are on his side, that they'll finally say, well, this is a line that I can't cross. And I guess we should have known that we were past after the kids in cages, and the last woman last year who came out with a very detailed story about how Donald Trump had attempted to rape her, and that wasn't news. Nobody cared about it, nobody talked about it.
Right.
An accusation of rape against the president didn't matter. And now the people that he sent Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani had all of these goons. They were talking openly, best case scenario, making plans they didn't act on to potentially murder a US ambassador. And like it's one of the three big stories of today.
It's insane.
And that's it. Maybe there'll be some talk about it tonight, but if something big happens tomorrow, we might have to stop talking about the fact that Trump's like goons were gonna kill someone.
So there's two things happening right now. First off, Trump from the very beginning of his term flooded the news cycle with so many egregious stories that I've never had as much difficulty keeping up with everything that's happening on any given day, because it's not like you have one big breaking news story a day. We will go live on air and there's a story breaking as we're talking, right? And we've been working on the show all day. So there's that. But I think the second part of it that's far worse is that you have lawmakers, Republican lawmakers specifically, who care far more about their political futures, their political career, as opposed to doing the right thing, the principled thing, and holding Donald Trump accountable. If a Democratic president did even a fraction of what Trump has done in office, Republicans would act, and they would act aggressively.
Yeah.
Now, I wish Democrats were a little stronger, I wish they were a little more aggressive, but regardless of how much evidence comes out, you're right, it doesn't change the minds of Republican lawmakers. And as they continue to control the Senate, they're gonna go ahead and they get to decide what the rules are when it comes to the Senate trial. And they are gonna exonerate him. Now, I think it's important to get these Republican lawmakers on the record enabling Trump's criminality here. And the reason why I think it's important is because there are far more vulnerable Republican senators than the news would have you believe, right? They don't want to be on the record enabling Trump, but they're going to exonerate him.
Yeah.
So the second part of this, and this is critical, would be the Democrats holding those Republican lawmakers accountable, right? Campaigning viciously against them. Right? Now, we showed you a video from the Lincoln Project yesterday. That's a group of Republicans who want to fight back against Trumpism. So they put out a vicious ad against Cory Gardner from Colorado. Democrats need to do that.
They're obviously joking about following and killing this woman. Fox and Friends did a story about this guy named Griff that met a dog named Griff. They didn't talk about this. They talked about the Griff meetup. And Susan Collins.
Anything crazy happened during
that?
They met.
And they had the same name. One was a dog, one was a human. A tale told through time. And Susan Collins, who's supposed to be one of the like vulnerable Republicans, she was really angry when she saw the story. Angry that it hadn't been revealed like a week earlier. She wasn't angry about a potential assassin being in Trump's like outer circle. She was mad that like, why didn't Pelosi release this information earlier?
Collins is trying to take credit for pressuring Mitch McConnell to hold a vote on witnesses. Now, she is one of those vulnerable Republicans. And I think that this is a layup for Democrats if they play the game right. But that's a huge if, as we know. So let's go to other aspects of what we learned today through these released documents. So clearer evidence, according to the Washington Post, though, comes in text messages in Russian between then Ukrainian prosecutor General Yuri Lutsenko and Parnas. In them, Lutsenko repeatedly alludes to an exchange involving Yovanovitch's ouster and the Bidens. Lutsenko tells Parnas, quote, "It's just that if you don't make a decision about Madam, meaning Yovanovitch, and you are calling into question all my declarations, including about B, Madam rather clearly a reference to Yovanovitch, and B is apparently a reference to Hunter Biden or Burisma Holdings, the company that employed Hunter Biden based on later texts." Lutsenko says there is testimony about transfers to B and then adds, quote, "And here you can't get rid of one fool," Parnas responds. "She's not a simple fool, trust me." And then she's not getting away, right? After Parnas tells—
Horrible dialogue.
I know, it's also translated from Russian. So.
That's true. Maybe it's more deliberately ominous in the original Russian. We get the idea though.
We do get the idea. After Parnas tells Lutsenko, soon everything will turn around and we'll be on the right course, Lutsenko responds by saying he had copies of payments Burisma made to the investment firm co-founded by Hunter Biden. So look, I know that the media is super partisan, and we don't hide the fact that we're progressive here, but I believe in justice and I believe in fairness. I think that that's relevant information when it comes to Hunter Biden. Like, what does that mean? Burisma transferred money over to an investment firm co-founded by Hunter Biden. Right, so like when Republicans say—
I mean, look, it could mean something, but I imagine that investment firms often have money transferred to them. Isn't that what an investment firm does? Receive money and then invest it?
Right, but understand the context in which this information is being shared. That there's possibly incriminating evidence here that could help Donald Trump out, right? So that's what they're negotiating about. Like, hey, you get rid of, let's get rid of Yovanovitch. If we get rid of Yovanovitch, we have some stuff that we can give you when it comes to Biden. That's the sense
I have a slightly different take on it, but I get what you're saying.
Well, okay, so tell me about it, because I'm curious.
I have never thought that they thought there was anything there or gave a damn if there was anything there. I think that they wanted to have the Ukrainian president go on CNN and announce that they were looking into Biden, and the way that our media operates, the way that the elections operate, there would never have to be anything that comes of it. The damage would be done. The same as with those investigations into Hillary Clinton. Every time one of those over the past 2 years has finalized and there hasn't been anything, who cared? And who should care? The damage was already done from the announcement back before the election happened.
No, look, I'm not trying to justify anything that's happening on the right, but I do think that it would be— I just don't want to be dishonest and pretend like I don't see anything that could possibly be shady when it comes to the Bidens. And so there's this huge debate happening right now about whether or not the Bidens should be forced to testify in the Senate trial. Look, I'm on the camp of, I don't care. I want witnesses, I want people to testify, and if that means that the Bidens have to do it, and I know they don't want to do it, and I know that Democrats are going to protect them as much as they can.
I think that the attempt to have the Bidens testify is just a way to get the same thing they wanted by having the Ukrainians announce an investigation. They want to cast a pall over him. I don't like Biden. I don't want Biden to be the nominee. I don't want him to be the president. But I also know what they're trying to do. And the Republicans are trying to give an assist. In doing a trial for the crimes he's committed, they're going to try to give him the payoff that the whole thing is about.
Yeah, I know. But the incriminating evidence against Trump is like far more voluminous. It's outrageous. And as we know what's going to happen in the Senate. But again, the second part of this is critical, and that's, again, Democrats holding these lawmakers accountable. In those later texts, the announcement of investigations is repeatedly tied to a White House meeting for Zelensky. In these, the ouster of Yovanovitch is repeatedly tied to potentially damaging information about the Bidens. And so it goes on and on. There were other pieces of evidence that can be used in the Senate trial. And there was a debate about whether the House should reopen their public hearings in order to present this new evidence.
Yeah, but by the way, also, if you are concerned about the possibility that there's something there, I would say that barring more documents coming out, what we've seen indicates that there wasn't. If they'd sent people there and they were like, just find something, find something, find something, and they kept sort of dangling, hey, we have information, and then eventually they're gonna announce the investigation, and none of that information has come out, did it exist? If they had something, why haven't we seen it? It seems like Zelensky was implying he had something, they couldn't come through, but they worked out a deal where he was going to announce investigations, content free, and he'd get what he wanted that way.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.